Welcome to another episode of OG55 Live. I got the Italiana with me today. We are answering your questions up next on OG55. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. It is good to be back and be live on these live shows. I just want to kind of reiterate, we have changed it a little bit as to how we used to do it. Basically, now, instead of going first come, first serve, we are actually picking questions and answering those questions. The reason why we changed this format is we have been getting a ton of questions, which we love the enthusiasm, we love the support, but we want to give everybody who might even come in later on in the chat a chance to maybe get their question answered. So that's kind of why we do it this way now. So we did pick a few, and as people trickle in with their questions, we'll also pick from that batch as well. George Italiano, welcome back, sir. How's it going?
Thanks. Glad to be back. I love doing these lives with you, bro. I love interacting with the chat and answering questions and just having a good time always on OG55.
Yes, sir. If you let everybody home know where they can find you on social media.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There we go. He's the Italiano and I'm OG.
Young blood, but I'm built like an OG. Yeah.
There we go. There we go. Okay, so our first question of the day comes from Mariana Barbara with a $10 super chat. Mariana, thank you so much for the support. We appreciate that. Thank you. So Mariana says here, I have to be honest, watching those undercover videos. Now she's referring to the James O'Keefe Disney tapes is what she's referring to. Those undercover videos made me sick. If I was denied a job because I don't look Hispanic enough, I'd sue them for discrimination. Racism is racism. End of story. Just my 2 cents. Okay, so Mariana, here is my thing. We actually reacted to the first 2 tapes. We're going to react to part 3 as well. We've been having fun actually reacting to those with our friend, Mr. Seymour Duck, who's in the chat. What's up, Seymour? Here is the thing. So the first video was an executive from Fox, right? And this executive was saying, he's a white guy, and he's saying, hey, look, the white guys are not getting promoted. You know, I mean, I'm a white guy. They're not looking to promote white guys. It's all people of color who are getting all the good positions. And then we go to tape number 2 with, I think the gentleman's name was Dave, if I'm not mistaken, who's a person of color. And Dave was saying, well, you know, if you're not white, if you're not white and Jewish, you can't get anywhere in this company. You can't go to the top upper echelon of the executive team. So Mariana, here's my issue, and we talked about this on the last 2 videos. These reports from both of these videos contradict each other, right? So the second video is saying that all the top tier to upper brass are white guys. But the other video 1 is saying, well, white guys are not getting promoted. They're being passed over for people of color. Well, how are the white guys in video number 2 that are supposedly packing the top positions of the company? How are they getting to those top positions if they're not promoting said white guys, right? So these videos contradict each other. I want to also bring this up real quick too. This is from the Walt Disney Company official website, okay? This is the executive leadership team, Mariana. Okay, we have Bob Iger, we got Tanisha, not a white guy. We have Asad Ayaz, and he was actually just promoted not too long ago. It was within the last year, I believe, when Bob Iger came back. We have Sonia Coleman, Carlos Gomez. We got Horacio Gutierrez. I mean, look, it's a pretty diverse mix of executives here at Disney. Now, remind you, Mariana, in video 2 of the O'Keefe tapes, the person that they were grilling or interviewing or whatever, said that it's only white guys and Jewish people in these roles. So I'm sorry, I don't take what these people are saying with much credibility at all. When you can see here with your own eyes, it's clearly more than just white guys and Jewish guys. It's a very eclectic mix. The video, the first video he did with that gentleman Michael from Fox, same kind of thing. I don't believe what these people are saying. It's their perception, their feelings of the situation, which is fine. But the reality and the facts on the ground say something totally different. So I don't put much weight into it. Just my opinion, Mariana. But George, what's your opinion on this, brother?
Yeah, I think the more and more that I kind of think about watching those tapes, the more I'm thinking of how credible are those two guys working in the company. Like, do they have their full, facts straight of like really what's going on behind the scenes? Because a lot of the times when they are being asked these questions, if you kind of pick out the keywords, when they say, well, maybe, possibly, I'm
Guessing.
not sure, guessing, so it's all more so, as OG was saying, it's hearsay at this point. There's no solid proof. I do agree with you, that yes, racism, no matter which way you turn it, if that is the case or not, it's not acceptable one way or the other in any kind of workplace, but I think we need to know the full story behind of what's going on before we just jump to the conclusion of saying, okay, well, the Walt Disney Company is being racist towards white guys or racist towards Hispanics or towards African Americans. I think, honestly, just based off of these two tapes, which, by the way, were very choppy.
Well, they were edited like crazy. That's the other thing. If O'Keefe has real evidence of what's going on here, then why all the editing? You know what I'm saying? What, like, give us the context, which you don't really get any context in any of these videos. They're cut and they're cut and chopped up and delivered, and that's an issue that is not just with this. O'Keefe has a history of doing that kind of stuff and has been criticized of doing that many times. Go ahead, George. I do apologize, brother.
No, you're good. And I mentioned this actually on our videos reacting to it with Seymour. Is common sense. Don't either of these guys know that they're actually being interrogated in the sense of the questions? Like, you're out on a date and this is the only topic that you're discussing. You're not talking about anything else. You're not asking her any questions. I'm sorry, I'm a guy. If I'm on a date, I'm going to be kind of talking back to the girl saying like, what's your interest? What do you like? So it's like, for me, and it's like, and they have the same wine. They have like the same restaurant, the same table, the same questions. It's like, I mean, come on. I mean, you gotta figure out something's kind of fishy there.
Oh, it's super fishy when the woman is sitting there. So is this a Bob Iger directive and yada yada yada? What date goes like that? I'm telling you right now, man. Like, if I was sitting across the table from a woman and she was grilling me on the CEO of the company that I work for like that, huge red flags would go up. Like, what is going on here? You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is really super weird. And the fact that these two gentlemen had no idea, or seemingly no idea, at least as so far that we know of. We'll see, maybe part 3 they do. I don't know, figure it out. But that was my biggest takeaway too, George. How can these guys not see through this? It's so obvious. It's just crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, Mariana, thank you so much, Mariana, for the super chat. We do appreciate you. And we got Kaylee here. Kaylee is in the house. Kaylee with 2 E's. Do you think they should add a Toontown at Disney's Hollywood Studios, but their own version, not the same copy and paste as Disneyland's? Since Hollywood Studios is going towards bringing you into the IP universe rather than a studio. I think, Kaylee, this is a fantastic idea. This is what they should have done, actually, when they were thinking about bringing Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway to Hollywood Studios. This is what they should have done.
Oh, please, bro, don't get me started on that.
Are you a hater?
I'm the biggest hater. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate.
What's going on? What happened? Well, because everyone doesn't watch every video, so explain why does this trigger you, George?
Okay, so for me, no, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I think it's a very cute dark ride, trackless dark ride. I prefer the one in Disneyland because I feel like the setting fits very well in Toontown. I love the queue. the problem is with putting it in Hollywood Studios, in where the Grauman's Chinese Theater is. It just feels kind of lackluster. It just doesn't feel like it fits, and also it took away one of my favorite attractions, not even just at Hollywood Studios, but in all of Walt Disney World, and that was the Great Movie Ride. Disney lost out on a golden opportunity with taking out that attraction, because it's a very evergreen type of ride. You know, you could constantly put stuff in, take stuff out, especially with the Fox acquisition, of how much that they could have put in that. And they could have updated the technology and the special effects and the visual effects and the lighting. Oh, it would have been perfect. And I do agree with Kaylee. I think, honestly, Toontown would have been put in nicely at Hollywood Studios. And that's where they could have put in Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, because it would have fit better. And also with Toontown kind of tying into that classic original park that it used to be when it was MGM, where Roger Rabbit actually not currently, but he did make appearances, and it kind of gives that kind of California noir, kind of feel to it. Kind of going back to what you were saying, OG, we could have that ink and paint club.
Come on, Disney, build an ink and paint club. I mean, and you could do that. Like if you built a new Toontown in Hollywood Studios, you can build the ink and paint club from the movie, serve alcoholic beverages. I know it's kind of controversial. Some fans don't like the idea of alcohol at Disney parks. I have no issue with it. I'm fine with it. But to have an ink and paint club would be absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. But this is a fantastic idea, Kaylee. I don't know. It's kind of sad to me that Disney World really never got a proper Toontown, because, George, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys got Toontown Fair, right?
It started off as, I believe, correct me, Chad, if I'm wrong, it was either Mickey's Birthday Land and then Starland, or it was vice versa. I forget it was either Starland, then Mickey's Birthday Land. No, I think Birthday Land came first. So Mickey's Birthday Land, Starland, and then it became Mickey's Toontown Fair. After Mickey's Toontown Fair, when they were redoing the new Fantasyland, that area was supposed to be Pixie Hollow. And then that got scrapped along with the Princess Meet and Greet, where now the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is, and that became Storybook Circus.
Yeah. I wish you guys got a proper Toontown, or something Toontown-esque, like Kaylee was saying, something that is Toontown, but not the exact same version that we have. Some other element, some other angle would be really, really cool. But thank you, Kaylee. We do appreciate your question. The Girly Nerd is in the house. Girly Nerd here says, what are your favorite restaurants in Disneyland and DCA? Disneyland has restaurants? No, I'm just kidding. In DCA, it's easy for me. I love Carthay. I love the Carthay. Great atmosphere, great food. I love that restaurant. For Disneyland, it's a little harder, actually. There really isn't. I can't really think of anything over there. I don't even know, man. Like, I don't know. I like Tiana's. We tried that, you and I, the last time we were there, and it was pretty good, right?
Yeah, I think for the price, we got a good sizable meal. Yeah.
Now we went with our good friend not too long ago. I can't say his name, but he got us into the freshly baked cookies over at the Harbor Gallery. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty cool. Those were fantastic. If you haven't had the chocolate chip cookies over at the Harbor Gallery at Disneyland, oh my gosh, make sure you go and get them. They are fresh. They are amazing.
And put in your order early, because they go pretty quickly as far as being able to get a slot in to pick them up, because they are really good.
Yeah. And then I will say an honorary mention. It's not in either park, but I actually really like Storytellers at the Grand Californian.
That was good. I enjoyed Storytellers. Yeah. I actually, I think that was my first time eating there. When I went with you, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, not too shabby. What are your favorite restaurants in DCA and Disneyland, George?
So for Disneyland, trying to think, because see, here's the thing. The issue with Disneyland, the whole Disneyland Resort, as opposed to Walt Disney World, they need more restaurants. And when I say more restaurants, they need more sit-down themed restaurants.
Right.
I mean, call me biased, but I'd probably just pick Cafe Orleans. I do love the Monte Cristos. I love the mint juleps, and I think especially if you can get an outside table, I love the view that you get like off of where you see the Mark Twain and the Columbia ship, and just people walking around, going back and forth, and just kind of sightseeing while you're having dinner at the same time. That's really cool. DCA, my all-time favorite is Lamplight Lounge. I love Lamplight Lounge.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Lamplight. Ooh, I forgot about Lamplight. That place is great, dude.
Yeah,
and their donuts are amazing. Do they still have those? I haven't been in a long time.
I don't know if they still have the. I hope they do, because they were really good. Because they took away my freaking bao buns, which those pork bao buns. Oh man, they were awesome. But honestly, everything on that menu, I could honestly say the lobster nachos are phenomenal. I know you're not a big seafood.
No, it's weird. When it was the Cove Bar back in the day, I used to get the lobster nachos. You know why? The nachos are fantastic, and there's barely any lobster on it. Like they're like little ass pieces like this, man. They're super. Like you can't even taste it. It's so small.
Because it's mixed with everything else,
I don't even notice it. I don't even taste it. I don't smell it. It's like it's in there. I used to get the lobster nachos all the time. It didn't bother me because I don't even see it or taste it. There's so little of it, But yeah, Lamplight. Oh man, now you're making me think. Either Carthay or Lamplight. It's one of those two,
And really quick, before you move on, I just have to confirm, Teo, because I asked a question. It was Birthday Land to Starland.
Birthday Land to Starland, okay.
Yeah, and then Mickey's Toontown Fair. And then he also said, we could thank Tom Staggs for the mine train. And that's absolutely correct.
Yes.
That was all on Tom Staggs.
He was wondering, he has kids. I think he has young boys.
Yep.
And he was saying, what are my kids going to do? So... and actually Tom Staggs, I'm going to use him as an example coming up for Suave CLT's question here, because he definitely comes into play with this question. Who will be the next CEO? Will they give the park budgets like Galaxy's Edge or smaller budgets like Toy Story? Can we expect quality or more siphoning of profits from parks to other divisions? Okay, so who do I think right now, as we stand on June 28th, 2024, who do I think is the leading contender for CEO of the Walt Disney Company? I think it's Dana Walden. I think it's absolutely Dana Walden. I think it's hers to lose right now, okay? Now, will she give the park budgets like Galaxy's Edge, or will she cheap out, right? That's the big question. It's hard to say. It really is. Because look, until these executives get into those roles, you really don't know how they're going to behave, right? So for example, Tom Staggs, he was the chief financial officer of the Walt Disney Company for years. Now he got moved. I don't know if promoted is the right word, but he got moved to become the parks chief, right? A lot of fans were complaining about that. How are you going to have the CFO, the head accountant, running the parks division? A lot of park people were very nervous about that. And actually, you know what? Tom Staggs did a killer job. Tom Staggs was fantastic in that role. Some CEOs have the business and social intelligence to sort of adapt to the new role that they're in. Some can't, like a Chapek, he had a hard time. He couldn't separate himself. He was the same Chapek no matter where you put him. You know what I'm saying? But Tom Staggs was able to adapt. So the big question here, Suave, is can Dana Walden adapt? Can she, she's a studio person. If she becomes CEO, what kind of CEO is she going to be? What's her approach going to be? That's yet to be determined. I would have to say I'm cautiously optimistic about her. I think she's very competent. I think she has a good track record, at least on the studio side. So I can't imagine that she would be a disaster on the park side. Now, real quick, and then I'll go to George. You say here too, can we expect quality or more siphoning of profits from the parks to other divisions? See, this is where I respectfully disagree, Suave. Siphoning profits from parks to other divisions. Yeah, but see, that's what makes the Walt Disney Company, right? Because remember, when the parks were shut down, it was the park division that depended on Disney Plus to keep them afloat. So what would happen if the parks division didn't have the studio and the streaming when everything was shut down? They'd be in a whole lot worse shape than they would have been. So they were living off of Disney Plus. Okay, maybe now when the studio was going through a harder time after the pandemic and the lockdowns, maybe now the parks are the ones kind of like keeping everything afloat. But it goes back and forth Swab. It's not just, the parks are always the one that has to bear the brunt of everything. I mean, if you're looking back just a few years ago, before the pandemic, the studio was absolutely crushing it with things like Endgame. All these movies coming out of the Walt Disney Company were billion-dollar movies. So it was the parks weren't being siphoned off at all back then. So I get the concern right now with park fans, but it goes back and forth. It's not a one-way street all the time. And now the box office is actually rebounding. We're seeing Inside Out 2, likely going to be $1 billion probably next few days. We're seeing Deadpool and Wolverine, which is going to totally kick ass, when that opens. It's projected to make about $200 million opening weekend. Moana 2. So it's getting better. But when you have a big company like the Walt Disney Company and that flywheel, it's gonna be a little bit of a push and pull. And that's the beauty of it. Because when there's a pandemic or something that hits the parks, you have that safety net of the studio and other divisions to help buoy it. You know what I'm saying? So great question, Suave. What do you think, George?
Yeah, for me, I definitely feel that Dana Walden has kind of like that one up right now in the race between the three contenders thus far. I don't know how the board is feeling about Josh tomorrow right now. And honestly, with OG and I both agree that he's just not ready for prime time. He could barely stay afloat with being chairman of the parks. And not saying that he couldn't do the job, but it's like, okay, during D23, I'm for sure he's going to give us all these big, huge announcements, which is great. But that shouldn't be the one and done reason for him to be CEO of the whole entire company. And I feel if they did decide to do that, I mean, they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot, because this is what they did the last time when they put Parks chairman into the CEO role. And it's like history will just be repeating itself. And to Chapek's credit, yes, I am going to give him a little credit. He is a great business guy. He knows numbers. When he was in consumer products, honestly, of what he did with the DVD and the Blu-ray sales and everything, it was genius. As a parks person, no, that wasn't his forte. And as CEO, that definitely wasn't his forte. I think he should have stayed in consumer products, or as OG says, give him the CEO position of like Pepsi or something like that. He'd crush it.
Oh,
Josh,
yeah.
He's a good motivational speaker. He's a good person that kind of like lifts you up and gets you hyped up for something that you just don't know what it's going to be, and then you don't get it in the end. But he's
gonna give you those blue balls. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, yeah, just get you right there.
Yeah.
But I think if you were to tie tomorrow with Dana Walden, you have the business and the creative. Sort of like how Walt and Roy was, or Wells and Eisner, or, as I said, if you were to do Staggs and Myers, that would be my two ideally,
right.
Because these are people that actually worked in the company.
Exactly. Or even if you do like a Kevin Meyer and a Dana Walden or something, like that would be great to have the dual CEO-ship.
Or Staggs and Walden.
Or Staggs and Walden. Or if you want to bring back the president position, which they took away years ago, you have, Dana Walden as CEO maybe, and then you have like a Tom Staggs or a Kevin Meyer or a Daddy Josh as president. That would work. There's a little more checks and balances there, but we'll see. Great question, Swap. Thank you. Appreciate you. Mr. Matt. Go ahead.
Oh, no, do Matthew. And then after that, if you can just come down to Teo's question. This is one that's not added in yet, but I just wanted to address his question because I have a little bit of a story behind that connected to Mary Ann's.
Is this the dining package?
The dining package, yeah.
Okay, yeah, we will absolutely do that one after Mr. Matthew Murr. So Matthew Murr, all the way from the UK. Matthew, I just want to say we really do support you. Matthew's always very supportive of the channel. He's a good friend of ours. Thank you so much, Matthew. And he's all the way in the UK. So a lot of times when we do these videos, the time over there is not the greatest. It's like in the middle of the night, So Matthew, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. Matthew here says, why do you think Wish did so poorly at the box office? And do you think anything could have done? Do you think anything could have been done to improve the film? Well, I haven't seen the film, so I can't really comment on how what could have been done to improve the film. I'll let George handle that. But I will say this: George made a great point, and I think it's a really, really solid point. the marketing for this movie, okay, regardless of how the movie turned out, the marketing for this movie of this buildup of 100 years in the making. I think they even use that terminology, right? 100 years in the making. You know, they were referencing films like Snow White, Pinocchio, Beauty and the Beast. It's 100 years in the making. There was a lot that put a lot of pressure on Wish. You know what I'm saying? You're taking these like literal masterpieces in film, okay? And you're saying all these films, all these amazing films, all this history, 100 years led to this moment of Wish. And I think people saw that and they were like, okay, this must be an amazing experience. And they saw the movie. And I think a lot of people really enjoyed Wish, but it didn't live up to the marketing hype. I think it seemed, from what I've heard, like an okay, enjoyable film. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think that it was this wow moment. And I think because it was attached to the 100th, it did it a disservice. If this was released in any other year and it wasn't that 100th anniversary hype train thing that it was attached to, I think it probably would have done much, much better. But I still haven't seen it though. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing too, right? Like, I'm a huge Disney fan. I'm a huge Disney animation fan. I'm a huge fairy tale fan. And the fact that I'm not even getting the motivation to see it, and I'm a diehard, that says something, you know what I'm saying? But I will definitely check it out eventually. But what do you think, George? You actually saw the movie, so you can actually answer this a little better than I could.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to quote you, quoting me, that, yeah, absolutely. I think that was a huge misstep. I think Disney had tried to go along with a way where it was like, okay, you know, for the Disney 100, okay, let's promote it like that. But it kind of dilutes the notion of, you're saying that this is going to be the greatest animated film of all time, which it is a very solid movie. It really is. But compared to Beauty and the Beast, compared to The Lion King, hell, compared to Frozen, I'll even say compared to Tangled, it's not up to that par. It's a cute movie. It's a good movie. It has great music, but there are a lot of other Disney films that I think have a much higher kind of reputation as being, you know, classics. Now, what I would have done differently, would I have done anything differently with it? No, I really don't think there was anything that I would do differently. I enjoy the movie. I just think it was all how it was marketed and promoted.
Yeah, it built it up like this event thing of 100 years in the making, and it couldn't live up to that, unfortunately, you know. And not many movies could, to be fair. Not many movies could. Slimer is in the house. Slimer, good to see you, brother. Really good to see you. And we actually did a fantastic show that premiered this morning with Slimer and Mrs. Slimer and their friend Caitlin, and it was a really, really fun, actually kind of hilarious show. Really talking about Disneyland and Walt Disney World, and even Impractical Jokers, which is a fantastic show. We dove into a bunch of stuff, but check it out. I think you guys will have a good time with it.
Slimers be sliming.
He be sliming. Yep. BJ Vincent here says, "Hey OG and George, after watching the introduction, Dark Universe at Universal Epic Universe. See, this is what I don't like." Dark Universe at Universal's Epic Universe. It's a little too much universe. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah, wow, holy crap. Yeah, Dark Universe at Universal Epic Universe.
Yeah, and BJ, this has nothing to do with you. This is
Universal. No. This is Universal's.
It's a little too much. I think the original name was going to be Fantastic Worlds, and I think that would have been
much better.
Oh yeah, way cooler.
Yeah, Dark Universe at Universal Epic Universe, inspired by Universal.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. It says here that there was a quote that they used every bit of technology at their disposal, and they even created new tech. You feel with all the ride system patents the Disney company has and all the new systems being used in foreign Disney parks, is now time to let Imagineers develop new rides with these systems. Yes, I'm all about new technology and moving forward. I mean, that's really what Walt built this whole company on, was that kind of mission statement of constantly moving forward, pushing the envelope. So Disney should absolutely do that, regardless of what Universal is doing. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. I'm very skeptical about Universal's claims, because they made the same claim about Super Nintendo World. Now, Donkey Kong, I haven't been on that because I'm in California. So I've only been on Mario Kart. I can tell you, and I know, George, I think you probably would agree with me, Mario Kart's a cute ride, but it's not the most technologically advanced anything. It's very, I don't want to say mediocre, but you're not going to get off Mario Kart and go, wow, I gotta call my mom and tell her how amazing that was. No, it's a cute dark ride that like very mid kind of stuff goes on in there, and it's just like, I don't know. So I think Universal what I'm trying to say here is I think Universal oversells themselves a little, not, I wouldn't say all the time, but a lot of times they oversell it, and I'm sure there are going to be some amazing technologies in this park, but I'm skeptical because I've been here before with Universal with this, and we talked about before, right, George, and some of this stuff, they tend to overhype what they do, you know what I'm saying? And their fandom does too, unfortunately, but I don't hate Universal. I'm not a biggest hater.
I'm the biggest hater. I hate the way that you walk.
I just think they overhype their stuff a little too much, in my opinion. But I think it'll still be a great park. But what do you think, George?
Yeah, I feel that Universal has this kind of way about them that it's like, oh yeah, we're like creating like the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it's like, it's good, but it's not great. With Mario Kart, this is what I would have done. I would have tried to keep Mario Kart to a wild but mild kind of thrill. I would still give it that.
Oh, George, that's you on a Friday night, brother.
Of course,
Saturday night.
Like I would still like kind of give it that kind of like a Radiator Springs Racers test track kind of feel to it. I still would have done something like where they had a dark ride, but without like that agitating VR that's like in the midst of everything. I would just have just like a classic Mario dark ride. Maybe do it like in the style of like they were talking about Luigi's Mansion, kind of doing like a Mystic Manor kind of thing. But yeah, as far as like the technology that was used for Mario Kart, I was disappointed because in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I've played Mario Kart growing up and I thought, okay, this is going to be like a speed chase kind of thing. It's going to be bumpy. It's going to like maybe give you the sensation like you're spinning, like if you like slip on a banana peel or something like that. Or
nothing like that. It's
it's very subpar for me, anyways.
It's not an e-ticket. It's definitely like a D ticket, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. So that's why I'm saying, when I'm hearing Universal with all this big talk about, technologically advanced. Okay, that's cool. I just haven't seen it yet with the first example that I've experienced, which was Mario. I think the land and I think the attraction is cute and well done. Absolutely. But is it blowing my mind? Am I like, oh my God, this thing is crazy? No, not even close.
But I will say before we move on to our second super chat of the night, I will say there are aspects that I'm looking forward to Epic Universe, definitely. But the more that the Universal is releasing, this is definitely coming to be a more teen/adult park, and here's why. When they gave the description of what the Kuka Arm Frankenstein Monsters Unleashed kind of attraction, they said that this is going to be a PG-13 style ride where, be careful with your little ones if they're under the age of 13, how much that they can do. This is going to be a very scary attraction. Now, I don't know what they signify as scary, but if this is going to be something like a permanent Halloween Horror Nights, but infused in a ride, then that could potentially be where, okay, that breaks your demographic for it being for an older, to not take your little ones on. So you have that. You have the roller coaster. What is it? It used to be called
Starfall. Now it's Stardust.
Now it's Stardust. Yeah. You have a roller coaster like that. You have the Dragon Spinner attraction. You're going to have possibly this e-ticket kind of intense Harry Potter ride. So there's nothing.
Well, yeah, you're right. And the Harry Potter thing, from what I'm hearing, I think it was from Theme Park Wizard, where it's a drop thing on a track. Okay, so it's like, and again, it's like this is the kind, and this is what I say. Universal makes a great product. Okay, I'm not saying they make a bad product, but unless you're young and healthy and are into kind of more thrilling stuff, it's really not a great value. You know, people keep saying that Universal is a great value. It's such a great alternative than Disney. It is if you're into thrill rides and you're into that stuff. I'm not into that stuff. I'm not into getting thrown around and tossed around and go upside down and all this other stuff. Even the Forbidden Journey thing is a little much. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're not into that stuff, Universal isn't really that much of a value. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you're 25 and you want to get thrown around and you want to go on a million roller coasters, dude, Universal's where it's at. It's the best. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. But until they get the thing with Universal too, we got a question in the last live show, until they get more Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion style attractions where literally everybody can go, I think they're always going to be number 2. And I know it's a controversial topic. I'm sure people will get mad at me for saying that. But they're always going to be number 2 if they're always going to be more edgy like that. They have to get more 4-quadrant stuff before they can even think about defeating the Mouse House. We got our next super chat, Mariana Barbara with $5. Mariana, thank you so much. Super generous of you. We really do appreciate you. And I've seen you in our live shows many times before, Mariana. We do appreciate your support. 1000%. Thank you. She goes on to say, what's your take on John Musker's comments that Disney needs to course correct with messages in their recent movies to bounce back in the box office? Well, I think Bob Iger even said the same thing. I think he was saying they're going to pull back on this stuff, right? And I believe him. I mean, they want to get off the front page, the front page, in terms of negative news, right? So here's my take on it, Mariana. Messaging has been a thing at Disney since day one. Okay. When you look at a movie like Pinocchio, When You Wish Upon a Star, doesn't matter who you are. That's a message. Now, they shouldn't get rid of messages because then you have a very boring, stale movie. You want to have messages and stuff that you can glean from, right? So it's not that they should get rid of messaging because that would make for a very boring story. What they need to do is get rid of divisive messaging. Something that the public can look at and go, oh, that's political. Get rid of that stuff. Even if it's not political, but can be perceived as political, that's the kind of stuff that you're going to want to pull back on. But the Disney tried and true messaging of like with Pinocchio, Wish Upon a Star, doesn't matter who you are. That kind of messaging, I think is fantastic. And they have to do that kind of stuff because otherwise, if you have zero messaging, you don't have a story. You don't have anything of interest. It's kind of bland, it's like buttered noodles. Like, you want that, what I'm saying? Got to add a little spice, a little something in there, What do you think, George?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to like to add a little, marinara sauce myself. Oh, you're talking about the question. Sorry. Yeah, for me, I don't mind like the messaging, the messaging in the films, like as you had mentioned, When You Wish Upon a Star. Another great example is from Mulan, Reflection. I love that song. But yeah, it's like when I like messaging that speaks to like the broader of the audience. Like it's speaking to all. Like you can find something within yourself based off of where it could be based off of Asian culture. It could be something based off of Native American culture or African American culture or what have you. But it still speaks to the bigger demographic. Right. So I definitely agree with you on that. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mariana. We appreciate you. And we got Mr. Seymour Duck in the house. Mr. Seymour Duck, thank you so much, sir. He's asking, do you think Inside Out 2 box office numbers will reach $1 billion this weekend? You know what, Seymour? It's looking like it, brother. Sorry about that. It's looking like it. Inside Out 2, this is from Hollywood Handle, crossed $900 million at the worldwide box office. The film had a $200 million budget. $900 million. Now, this gentleman down here, Joey, says is thinking it will surpass 1 billion by Sunday and will end its run with a gigantic 1.4 to 1.5 billion. That's what I'm hearing. It's gonna hit around 1.5 billion by the end of its run. So yeah, it's gonna hit absolutely 100 billion this weekend. I think. If not, maybe it'll be Monday or something. But the fact that it's only been, I think it's only like the third weekend, if I'm not mistaken, and we're already here talking about $1 billion. This is insane. This is a beast of a franchise. And just wait until Moana 2. Wait until Moana 2. If you think this is big, Moana is a franchise that's on fire right now.
And the pre-sales for that movie are going to be, I think Moana 2 is actually going to beat this movie. You know what I'm saying? I really do. If Moana 2 is even just decent, I think it beats Inside Out 2. That's my opinion. But what do you think, George?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The first Inside Out was very successful. So there was no doubt that Inside Out 2 was going to be big, but we didn't know how big. And this is pretty big. You know, I feel like it's going to cross over the $1 billion this weekend. And if not, it's definitely going to, one way or the other. I do think it's possibly might cross over as being the most successful Pixar film domestically, surpassing The Incredibles 2. And I definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, Moana 2 is even going to put Inside Out 2 in the shadows. Because, yeah, as you said, Moana is just a flame right now as a franchise, and they couldn't have picked a better time to do the sequel. And I think that was a smart move on Disney's behalf by turning the Disney Plus series and just combine it all together into a feature film. I think that was very smart.
It was brilliant because if you took Moana and you made it a series, it lives on Disney Plus and that's it. If you make it a movie and put it in theaters, now it gets all the box office, which the box office will likely be massive. I'm thinking it'll probably hit $1 billion as well, in my opinion. So you get the box office moolah, right? Then you get the Disney Plus moolah still with Moana 2, because now people liked it in theaters. So when it hits the streaming service, now they're playing it on repeat for all their kids as a digital babysitter. So you win both ways when you release it in theaters. So really smart move. But this is the year for Disney. I'm telling you, box office. I mean, you got Deadpool and Wolverine, like we talked about earlier. You got Moana 2. Mufasa is probably the one wild card for me. I'm not really sure how that's going to play out. But
I think that'll do deep. Like, I don't think it's going to do, and I could be wrong, I don't think it's going to do banger numbers, as our friend Kaylee says.
Right.
But I think it'll do decent because it's an original story. You know, and it's more gonna follow the origins of Mufasa.
Exactly. It's different, right? So it's not like for example, Lion King live action was a beat by beat pretty much retelling of the animated movie. It's like, okay, who cares, you know? But this,
which I actually remember asking my son when we went to go see Inside Out 2, because we saw the preview for Mufasa. He said he's definitely curious. He wants to see it, but he said, you know what? It really would have got my interest is, he said, I would have loved to know the backstory of Scar as a cub.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah. That'd be very cool. And your son is like 14, right? So 14. Yeah. Yeah. So he's, it's interesting that he was interested in seeing it. So it might do well. We'll have to wait and see. Leo CH here says, I like to ask, for some people, Zootopia is more fit with Hollywood studios than Animal Kingdom. The question is, does having 3 trackless dark rides a bit overkill for Hollywood studios? Leo, here's the thing. Look at Disneyland. How many boat rides do you need? We got Pirates, we got Small World, right? So you can make the same argument, so in my opinion, the theme changes the vibe of the ride system. So what I mean by that is you take a ride system, like for example, Indiana Jones Adventure, and you compare that to Dinosaur. Look at how those two rides are so like the experiences are vastly different. But it's the same ride though, the same ride system. Look at Hollywood Tower Hotel and Mission Breakout. Look how vastly different that was using the same ride system in that building, right? The ride system doesn't really matter. It's how you use it, right? So I don't think it's overkill. As long as the experience feel different, I'm fine with that, dude. How many Omni-Movers do we need, right? We have Omni-Movers all over the place at Disney, right? So I think it's fine, in my opinion. George, do you agree, disagree? Where do you stand with it, brother?
I'm actually going to give a little pushback on this, just a little bit. A little bit. And here's why. I do agree with you. You can have multiple attractions with the same kind of ride vehicles. Now, to your argument with Disneyland of how many boat rides, that is true. However, there is a lot more attractions in Disneyland than Hollywood Studios.
Fair point.
So when you put in another trackless dark ride into a park that has very little, it kind of showcases, oh my gosh, we have 3 trackless dark rides of the same thing, but just different IP.
There's like 7 rides and 3 of them are trackless.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm not opposed to that. I just think that there needs to be more variety put into Hollywood studios before that. Now, obviously, with Zootopia kind of in the wings right now with the potential of it coming to the domestic parks.
Was that a pun? It's
No,
Zootopia
it's
in the wings? I like that.
Yes.
Hold on. I got a drop for that, actually. Give me a second, everybody. Because when you do that, man, I just have to... Oh, man. Oh, here it is. There you go. In the wings. There you go.
In the wings. But I do feel that the domestic parks, aside from the god-awful decision to put Zootopia into the Tree of Life, Disney, please, if there's any project that you want to cancel, please cancel that one. To me, I'm sorry, that just doesn't fit right. I'm sorry.
Why don't you put Chip and Dale in there? That'd be perfect.
Yeah, do like a Chip and Dale short, based off of the cartoon shorts or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But for Zootopia, I do think it would go well in Hollywood studios, just as I feel that it would do well in DCA. Now, I think actually Zootopia would fit better in DCA over Hollywood Studios because of that notion, because DCA needs more dark rides.
Right.
But I think in time, I could still see Zootopia coming to DHS.
Yeah, and I think overall, I think that land would fit well in DHS. I think that's where it should go. Honestly, ideally, that's where it should go, Leo CH here says, do you think the 20th century property, except Avatar, is better integrated into existing theme parks or built a brand new park with it? Well, yeah, Avatar fits great where they have it in Animal Kingdom. I'm not so sure yet what they're going to do out here in California. The rumor is DCA. I don't know. That's not exactly a great fit, but we also don't know the storyline for a lot of the sequels. There could be a California element in there. We don't know. So we'll have to wait and see with that. But the 20th century properties actually might make a pretty cool gate in and of itself. Like George, you brought up the idea of I think it was you. You brought up the idea of a Planet of the Apes attraction, and see, something like that would have a little bit of an edge to it, and that might actually give Universal a little bit of competition. Because then if Disney can build a 20th Century Fox park and you have kind of like a scarier, kind of edgier Planet of the Apes attraction, that's a very Universal kind of thing.
And we did a show with Slimer on that. And to me, to put Planet of the Apes, I think would go great in Animal Kingdom. And more importantly, I would add that IP to Cali River Rapids.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, that would work too. Absolutely. So yeah, there's properties they can work with here, with Fox. A Fox park would be kind of cool. I think the Fox properties would work beautifully in Hollywood Studios. With that's the park you might want to put if you're going to integrate it. That's another park you can add it to. So great question. Great question. CSRS is in the house for Shrek 5. Could you see them taking more direct jabs at the Disney princesses, including having close lookalikes of them and their homelands? You know what? Okay, here's the thing. Universal. I don't know if Universal owned. Man, I don't know. I have to look it up. Did Universal own DreamWorks when they released Shrek 4? I don't think they did. I don't believe they did. So. Yeah. Okay, well, they did. They own it now, and with Shrek 5 coming out, and knowing how Universal is, there's going to be so many jabs at Disney. It's not even be fun. It's gonna be jab after jab after jab. I mean, Universal's Twitter handle, the Universal Orlando Twitter handle, does Disney jabs every week. Of course they're gonna throw the Disney jabs into Shrek 5. You know what I'm saying? Now, personally, I'm not a big fan of those. Not because I'm a Disney fan. I mean, I am, but it's not because I'm they're taking shots at Disney. I think it cheapens the product a little bit. You know what I'm saying? When you do that kind of thing, it also dates the product quite a bit. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm on the record saying a lot, even when Universal goes on Twitter and kind of goes after Disney all the time. I think it sort of makes you look like number two when this is a pivotal time for Universal to act like number one. If you want to be number one, Universal, start acting like it. You know what I'm saying? Why are you out there throwing shots at Disney? That's a very number two thing to do. You know what I'm saying? You want to be number one, start acting like number one, But that's just my opinion, and I say that and people get all upset, but that's my take on it.
Normally, you have a number two when you have a number one.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But I will say though, Shrek reminds me for DreamWorks of what Toy Story is to Pixar. Shrek kind of started off. I mean, other than like the Prince of Egypt, but the Shrek franchise kind of started off the nuance of what DreamWorks animation is today. Toy Story started off Pixar, and I feel like that they've made so many of them that it just feels like it's just so overwhelming to the same thing. And now they're going to add also a donkey spinoff. I believe Eddie Murphy kind of confirmed after Shrek 5. So to me, I just think it's just overkill.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think Shrek 5 will do well. It's not my thing, but I do think it will do very well. The Donkey spinoff, though, is a little weird to me. I don't know if I can do a whole movie with Donkey. I don't know. Yeah. It's not my thing. I mean, but look, I didn't think they could do a Dory spinoff. I mean, we had Finding Dory. I actually really liked it. So who knows? You know, Donkey might crush. But I think Puss in Boots on paper works better as a spinoff.
I agree.
Its own thing. You know, I think that works better. But we'll see. You know, we'll be fair. We'll give it a chance when it comes out. We'll see what it looks like. We got Mr. Jason Hill, my K-pop buddy, Jason Hill. We've been checking out the new La Lisa song, Rockstar. Pretty good song, really good song.
I did check it out. I did watch it last night.
What'd you think?
I liked it. I really did. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I love the beat. Well, I love more than just the beats, but you know.
You're right. Exactly. But Jason Hill says lots of Disney Cruise news this week. Mm-hmm. They added a new Groot show to the Marvel restaurant, showed off the Aristocats bar. That is what I was really impressed by. The Aristocats, we'll get to that in a second. Yes. But lots of news about the Asian ship, the Adventure. What are your thoughts? The Aristocats bar, I'm really impressed with that because that's not a hot property. And for Disney to lean into that really shocked me.
Yes.
The Groot thing is the predictable thing. Okay, come on, Groot. It's a low-hanging fruit, no pun intended, okay? But it's a low-hanging fruit, you know what I'm saying? You know, maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree, but maybe I should leave. No, just kidding.
Are you just pulling these jokes out of the woodwork?
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Well, aren't you glad I did? No. No, but the Aristocats bar though is a deep cut kind of thing. I mean, not a lot of people are really familiar with it. I know Maria, is it Marie? The little white cat? Marie. She's really big in Japan actually. Yes. The Japanese love her, but out here in America, it's not a huge franchise. And I kind of like when Disney dips into some of the stuff that's not as, as well known. Like we talked about, we went to Oogie Boogie Bash back last September together, and we got to meet Madame Mim from Sword in the Stone. Like that's cool. That's different, So I love that about this announcement. I think that's fantastic. What are your thoughts, George? You're a big cruise guy, so
I am. And actually, Jason, great question. This is like we're definitely talking about it, but we're also doing a Citrus Corner, and this is actually a topic that I'm going to add to that. So definitely check out that Citrus Corner coming out soon. But the Aristocats bar, I think, was a very bold but smart move. I love when Disney kind of utilizes the IP, the older IP that's not necessarily possibly not like that's overlooked. Yes, I do know Marie is big in the international parks. I even think she's big in Disneyland Paris, if I'm not mistaken, because actually the Aristocats is set in Paris. But I think just having like the Scat Cat bar or jazz club or I think that's phenomenal. The Groot, obviously, as OG said, that was pretty much said and done. They were going to add a different storyline to the Marvel restaurant. We just didn't know what it was, but Disney confirmed that with Groot, and I think that's kind of cool. I do love the Guardians of the Galaxy. And as far as the Disney Adventure, I think is very interesting because they're basically labeling the ship as a theme park on the high seas.
Right. Which is dope. And that's the one that Chapek bought, right? The one that they were going to... He got
that for a smoking deal.
He did. Pennies on the dollar. And that was one thing that Chapek did that was really, really smart. That was he crushed it with that. That was one of the better decisions he made when it came to like the parks division, or what have you. Jason Hill here says, I don't believe those videos. He's referring to the James O'Keefe undercover videos. Disney is too smart to get caught up in a discrimination case. Maybe one employee says something, but that doesn't speak for the whole company. Yeah, I mean, Disney has gotten sued before for various things and even discrimination and stuff like that. But I agree with you, though, Jason. I mean, you have these guys that are sitting here, on a date, right, with a big ass glass of wine. You got Michael saying one thing. Michael's telling you in video one that if you're a white dude, you're not getting promoted. Okay, but then in video two, the other guy is saying, hey, if you're white and Jewish, you're guaranteed you're likely to get your a position in C-suite. Well, how are the white guys in C-suite getting to C-suite if what Michael is saying is true? They're not promoting white guys. How does that work? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. There's a lot of disconnect there, and that's why I don't really believe it. I feel like these are guys who they have their opinions about things, and they even say that in these videos. I'm guessing, I think, this is my feeling on the situation. It's a lot of subjective sort of energy, and that's why it's so contradictory from one video to the next. So I don't believe it either. I really don't. I don't think it really means much, to be honest with you. But we've been having a good time reacting to it because you, me, and Seymour, and even Jay, we're getting some good laughs out of those videos. But what are your thoughts, George?
Yeah, those videos are just so irrelevant. They're all over the place. They have no common ground. There's no truth to them. They're edited like crazy and edited not even very well. But yeah, one contradicts the other. It's just, I'm sorry, it's not going to go anywhere. So for anyone that that fears that the Walt Disney Company is in jeopardy or what have you, just by this roster right here that we're looking at right now with the executive leadership, there's a slew full of diverse, talented people here. So this is from the Walt Disney Company website. This is what the in video 2, the gentleman says, only if you're white and Jewish you can get on this team. Okay, this is a very diverse group of people. We have Tanisha, Agramonte, Assad Ayaz. We have Sonia Coleman, Carlos Gomez, Horacio Gutierrez. Horacio is actually pretty new, from what I understand. So you have a very diverse mix of people in C-suite. I will say though, speaking of diverse, I probably have to be a little more nicer to Daddy Josh, because after just finding out that he's a fellow Italiano, he
is nice. I mean, he is Italian. Yep, he is Italian. So he's a fellow Italiana. Yeah. No, here's the thing. We're tough on Josh. We're not impressed with how he's run the experiences division, but we're going to be open-minded. We'll see. I mean, he might crush it at D23 and he might deliver. That's the thing though with Josh. He has to do well at the expo, but he has to also follow through. He can't just blow smoke because he's running for the CEO gig.
Through. Yes.
He's got to follow through. That's the big thing. You know what I'm saying? It can't fall off like so many things have in the past.
Can't fall off like someone's keister.
Yeah, exactly. Florentine, good to see you, Florentine. Always good to see Florentine. If Universal was looking to add another transportation method for Epic Universe that would qualify for the city limits, then could that only be a modern tramway line, which is the last transportation method Walt Disney World has not done as of yet? What do you think unique? What say you, George?
So, yeah, I feel, and this also kind of ties into a little bit. I was talking to OG before we started the live.
You were talking to who? OG?
Young blow, but I'm built like an OG.
Yeah. That I feel this also proclaims to Disneyland forward, because if the Toy Story parking lot becomes the third gate, you would have to try to maneuver a type of transportation system to and from that park, because it's separate from the overall resort. So sort of like with Epic Universe. So yeah, I feel like Universal, I think in time could potentially try to, come up with a transportation like system that would be an easier kind of commute, if you will, because they do have resort hotels that are going to be in and by Epic Universe. But for people who are staying at Cabana Bay or Adventura or Lowe's, Hard Rock, that's going to be a little bit of a commute, so it's like they're going to have they're going to have more than just possibly just shuttle transportations.
From what I understand, and Mr. Theme Park Wizard is in the chat. Wizard, if you're still in here, I do believe that Universal does have a dedicated bus line to get you back and forth, which is cool. I mean, that's cool. Yeah. And I hope that Disney's watching, like you were saying, George. I hope they're watching the situation over there, because Universal Orlando, that situation, you're right, George, is very similar to a possible situation we might have out here in California if we get that third park in the Toy Story lot. Because we're going to have to get people from the Disneyland Resort proper to that third park. How do they handle that? Well, a good way to start is look at what Universal's doing, and does that work? So when Epic Universe opens in 2025, does that dedicated bus line work, or is it a pain in the ass? We'll see, and Disney can use that as sort of like a beta test, so great question.
Slimer says Brightline is right on Universal Boulevard across from Epic, and the drive to Universal proper is only 5 minutes.
There we go. Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Slimer. Right there, Mr. Slimer. Hit all our Slimers be sliming. Kiki and Luca here says, hey, everyone, what are you having for dinner tonight? I am actually having a steak. I'm having a steak tonight for dinner, which I'm looking forward to. After we have our live show, that's what I'll be having. How do you like your steak, George? Are you a medium rare, medium well? How do you like your steak, brother?
For me, and this is I'm probably in the minority with this. I like my steaks blue on the inside. I prefer it mooing, where it's like I like a good sear on the outside, but I don't like it bloody, but just like where it's like a cold center, and that's a perfect steak for me.
Wow, man, that's crazy. Yeah, no, actually, you're probably more. Honestly, I think you're probably more in the majority than I am, because I like mine medium well.
Yeah,
and I
could deal with medium rare. Like I could deal with that. Anything like medium on, it's too tough for me.
Wow. Yeah. See, I think you're going to get more support in the chat than if you agree with me, put a 1 in the chat. If you like your steak like George, put a 2 in the chat. Very curious who wins this. I think you're going to win it though. I really do. I think people like it a little more on the rare side than medium well. I think I'm a rarity.
A rarity, no pun intended.
Yeah, there you go, rarity. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's interesting. But what are you going to have for dinner tonight, George? Oh, you're on the East Coast, so you probably already had your dinner.
Yeah, I already had dinner. I mean, I might have a little midnight snack, but usually what I do after we record or we do a live, I have this kind of thing that I do is I make like these chicken patties, and I use like lettuce wedges. And I make like a deconstructed kind of chicken sandwich with tomato and pepper jack cheese and spicy ranch.
Nice. Deconstructed. Look at George. Chef Italiano over here just making moves, dude. Look at this. You got Emerald Lagasse over here. Okay, so we got Seymour. I don't think he agrees with me based on that emoji. I think he's going with you on that one. So we got 1 for George. Okay, Yo Mike 91 is agreeing with OG.
Yep.
So 1-1. Oh, okay. Kevin is agreeing with you. So you're 2-1. 2-2. OG gets 1.
2.
And Girly Nerd is complicating things with 1.5, but I guess we'll go 1.
Split it.
I guess we'll split it. Yeah, 3-3. So we're tied. Medium right down the middle. Oh, that's a tough one.
Okay.
That's probably more you, though, I think.
Yeah, because medium can go either way, though.
Yeah, that's tough.
We'll just split that. If it's medium, we'll just split it down the middle.
Okay, so 4-4. Uh-oh, I'm in the lead. 5-4.
5-4.
And Seymour comes in with the rare. It's 5-5. That's surprising, though. I really am surprised, because I thought, like, medium well, like, I thought I'd get more reaction, like, how Seymour, like, what?
That was funny, though.
Yeah. That's interesting, though.
Like, what is this you speak of?
What is medium well? Okay, so where was I? Oh, I was at Leo. Okay, here we go, Leo. Hey, Leo, how do you like your steak? Medium well, medium rare? So Leo here says, with the current situation at Lucasfilm, if Kathleen Kennedy one day is out, well, she will be. I think eventually. She's getting older. She's going to retire soon, probably. Well, according to YouTube, though, she's actually got fired like 7 times already. It's crazy.
She was getting fired like people like were saying like, oh man, if Indiana Jones flops, like she's out the door. She's gone.
A year later, here we are. It's like I gave up on that whole thing. She's out when she's out. It's like.
Oh, and really quick before you finish this question, Leo, it says he likes his steak medium.
Medium, okay.
So we're right down the middle again.
We're tied. Yeah, it's crazy. Do you think there should be two people in charge of Lucasfilm, or let there be one person? I think it's enough with one person. I think that you get the right person in there. I think you're fine. I don't think you need more than one, in my opinion.
You just need someone that knows what they're doing. That's all you need.
Right. You just need someone in there that understands the franchise, understands the brand, knows how to sort of finesse the situation around the fandom and all that. It's hard. Look, I've said before, George Lucas even had a hard time with it. You know what I'm saying? When he did the special editions, when he did the prequels, I mean, he did not have smooth sailing with the fandom either. You know what I'm saying? So to come in now as Disney and think, oh, well, they shouldn't have this hard of a time, it's challenging. Star Wars fan base is very passionate and they care a lot. So it's not an easy job, but I think one person could probably handle it. What say you, George?
Yeah, I feel like you don't need 2 people to run Lucasfilm. I think it seems that way because everything just seems like so overly complicated the way things are being handled over there. I personally feel either Filoni or Favreau would do an amazing job at running Lucasfilm. I think they're both great storytellers. I think they would kind of know how to run the business of like what Lucasfilm stands for with the IP franchises such as Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and what have you. And I think they would do very well.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. There we go. Cassandra Chamberlain. Could a Deadpool and Wolverine meet and greet come to DCA? Also predictions for how much this movie will bring in at the box office. Okay, so a meet and greet at DCA, very possible. I would even say likely, to be honest with you. I think we might see that meet and greet. Avengers Campus has been very good with that synergy. With all the Disney Plus shows, they always had the character out there. Like, they even had from episode to episode, like they would have like Loki in like various different outfits. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm certain they're going to have Deadpool and Wolverine out there in Avengers Campus. I'm like 95% certain of it. Predictions for how much this movie will bring in, it's going to make $1 billion. I'm predicting at least $1 billion worldwide. It's actually right now on track to make 150 to 200 million opening weekend domestic. Okay, we're talking, that's like Endgame level almost. Like that's like crazy good. This movie's going to, I think, unless it totally sucks, which I don't think it will, it's going to hit $1 billion worldwide at least. 1.5 maybe, I don't know, which is crazy to think because Inside Out 2 is probably going to hit about 1.5, so it might even do a little bit more than that. I don't know. It's gonna crush though. At least $1 billion. What do you think, George? Deadpool, Wolverine, meet and greet, and box office. Your box office prediction is actually kind of crazy, and you might actually be right. You never know.
Mine is kind of far fetched, but I'm going to stick with it right now because I feel that Deadpool and Wolverine could possibly be the first $1 billion domestic film. We have yet hit it. We were so close with The Force Awakens, and I know, people are saying for how big and epic that Endgame was and Infinity War. Well, if we didn't hit that, how are we going to hit it with Deadpool? The reason why I think that is when you take a character like Deadpool and you put him in a storyline that's connected with a character that is well known in the MCU, and especially with Hugh Jackman reprising his role as Wolverine. And this is the start of the newer generation of Marvel. Not to mention, we also got a little kind of teaser from Deadpool about, someone big coming to the Avengers Secret Wars. Then some asshole interrupted with their phone call.
I think we got confirmation today that Sabretooth is going to be in it.
Is it okay? So Sabretooth was the,
but I don't know if that's who he was referring to in that clip.
Oh, okay.
But we do know Sabretooth, I believe, is going to be the villain. I mean, that was confirmed. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I think honestly, with Deadpool and Wolverine, I think that it's just going to be. especially it being a summer movie. I just think it's just going to do phenomenal numbers. I'm going to say right now, I will eat crow if I'm wrong, but I'm just going to stick to what I said before. I think this is going to be the first billion-dollar film that's going to eventually lead into Avengers 5, Secret Wars, more X-Men, and Fantastic Four.
And when you say $1 billion, he's talking domestic. That's a bold prediction. So we'll see. Yes. We'll see. And you've been sticking with that. We did a video actually with this gentleman right here, Mr. Tony, about Deadpool. I think we did a few Deadpool videos with Tones actually. And you've been on the record, George, on camera saying that a few times now. So if you get that right, dude, I might have to get you a medium rare steak. Tones is in the house. We love Tones. Tones is family here at OG55. Actually, George and I are on his channel a lot. So make sure you check him out on YouTube, Bad Thought Studio. If you're into Game of Thrones, especially, he breaks down House of Dragon all the time. He gets into studio stuff like Marvel and what have you. Make sure you support him. He's almost to 500 subs. Let's get this man to 500 and then 1,000. He deserves all the love. This guy works his butt off, and he does a really amazing work. So Tones. He says here, hey, cutie patooties. Hey, cutie. Hey, cutie. And Mr. Theme Park Conductor here says, who is another friend of the channel, who is also a content creator. He's amazing stuff as well. He's actually doing his weekly show, Conductor Thursdays, where he talks all about theme parks, a lot of Universal stuff. If you're into like the Halloween Horror Night stuff, Universal speculation with Hollywood, the Fast and Furious coaster, all that stuff, Theme Park Conductor is your man. Check him out on YouTube. Thank you, Conductor. We appreciate the love, brother. And Teo here says, hey, everyone, let's get this party started. Question. Disney usually has one big model at D23. What do you think it'll be this year? Tropical America is my guess. That's a good guess. But I'm going to be a selfish Californian and hope it's the Pandora model for Disneyland Resort. But it will probably be Tropical America, though. I think realistically, I think it's going to be that. But I hope it's Pandora, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, OG. Let me rephrase that. I want to agree with you, OG, because I really want to know what is all entailed with Pandora. I just feel like we're just going to kind of get to like know where this thing is actually going to be put. I don't know if they have like some concrete foundation. I agree with Teo. I think it's going to be the Tropical Americas because I think we kind of got a little taste of what the model was already looking like on the we call it Imagineering series on YouTube. So yeah, my guess would be the Tropical Americas for sure.
Absolutely. And we got Jonathan, Fancy Dreams. Should Disney make mistakes not making Star Wars Park? Oh, okay. So what he's saying is was it a mistake to not include all the Star Wars eras in the Star Wars? Was this the question you're referring to, George, that you want me to pull up?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
So definitely, Jonathan, great question. And Disney kind of boxed themselves in with the notion of just staying with the sequel trilogy, which is not bad, but when you constantly have that on a repeat day for day, it kind of gets a little monotonous, because I do enjoy the sequels, but I also love the prequels. I love the originals, so I would love to have a little taste of all. I wish that they would have created a land that was so complex that maybe that you have 3 different sections. So kind of do like a Fantasy Springs kind of style Star Wars, where you have the different eras depending on which section of the land you're in.
That's a great idea, actually. Like use the Fantasy Springs kind of model, right? Mm-hmm. And build it where you have the prequels, the sequels, the originals. That'd be great, man. I think they need to do that. See, that's the thing. Star Wars is so generational. You got to include all eras of Star Wars in there. Yeah, that was a fantastic idea. Mr. Rogue Attraction is in the house. Rogue, it's good to see you, buddy. I was actually checking out his live stream actually from Magic Kingdom earlier today. Really good stuff. He's also on YouTube, so check him out. Friend of the channel, indeed. Rogue here says he liked Tiana's. Solid 7.5/8 out of 10. Wow, Rogue. I am surprised, bro. I'm surprised because Rogue has been you've been pretty critical of the decision. That's wow, man. I mean, that's pretty high. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
What do you think, George? What are your thoughts?
Yeah,
I mean, 7.5, 8 out of 10. That's a pretty solid score.
Yeah, I mean, again, I definitely want to experience it for myself, but that does give me high hopes when someone gives like a decent positive, outcome like that. So it definitely wants me to check it out even more.
Yeah, and respect to Rogue on that too, because a lot of times people will if people say like, well, they don't like the idea of a certain thing, whatever it is, not just Tiana's, and the thing comes out. Sometimes people are afraid to admit actually it was pretty good. Respect to Rogue. I mean, he's been critical and he came out and said, look, I wrote it. I kind of dug it, so awesome. Really good to hear, Rogue. Appreciate you, brother. Teo here says, have you guys ever done a dining package for a nighttime show at one of the parks? Yeah, I mean, back in the day, I used to do them all the time at the, what was it called back then? I think it was Ariel's Grotto at DCA. And that's where Lamplight is now.
Correct.
And I would do the World of Color package. I did that several times. I did the Club 30. Well, it wasn't really a dining package. We were at Club 33. We watched Fantasmic from the balcony. I don't know if I've done any other ones. I think that's it. I don't think I've ever really done anything else. I don't really do the dining packages, but I did them a lot with World of Color back in the day because I used to love when that show came out. Man, that was my shit, dude. I used to watch. I used to watch all the time, and that was like the best way to get a good seat was that dining package. What about you, George?
Absolutely. Yeah, for me, I've done 2 Fantasmic dining packages at Disneyland. I've also done the Club 33. But not from the balcony, but we had a separate, secluded VIP seating to watch the show. And then I also did the Fantasmic package with Mr. Michael Webber. And we went to the River Bell Terrace, and I actually have a little story for that. I think it's kind of interesting because, believe it or not, I've never eaten at the River Bell Terrace before. I just never really had any interest in doing so. But it's kind of cute in there. I love how it kind of gives a little bit of an old fashioned kind of dollhouse, kind of feel to it. The food was pretty good. I mean, I think it was $60 for the package. So you get dinner and a show. And I ordered this, I forget what it was called. I'll have to look it up on the menu, but it was just this humongous size kind of sandwich. And it was huge. It was bread on top of meat, on top of bread, on top of it was stacked. And I'm looking at this thing how am I going to eat this thing? And there was a couple sitting next to us, and they said, we were curious of getting that, but we didn't know how it was going to be. And they looked at that and they said, how are you going to eat that? I was like, I don't know. I mean, I'm Italian. I have a pretty big mouth, but I don't know if my mouth is that big. And they started cracking up, and they said, we have to see you try to eat this thing. And I literally, I picked it up. I don't know how I did it, but I actually got my whole mouth around that thing. And
you know what? Yeah, honestly, George, I hope to God no one clips this because out of context.
but
oh man.
But they actually I literally got applaud. They were cheering. The people around us were hooting and hollering and clapping. I wish I would have got that on video because that would have been
it reminds me. I don't know if you guys I don't know if you've ever seen it. Man vs. Food.
Oh,
it was on Travel Channel.
Yeah,
with Adam. Is it Adam Richmond? Yeah,
yep.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to him. I mean, I don't hear about him anymore at all. But he would go to these places and do that. He'd do all these challenges and eat these big meals. Have to finish it in a certain amount of time, or the spiciest food. It's pretty interesting. We should actually do that maybe one day. We should. We'll go there. We'll order that. I'll film you eat it. I'll clock you. Can you do it in 5 minutes? Can you eat this whole thing in 5?
We should do that. That'd be great.
We'll put it up on the channel,
Yeah.
Little Man vs. Food Disney edition. Girly Nerd here says, I have never seen World of Color or Fantasmic. Maybe I need a dining package. Girly, you've never seen World of Color or Fantasmic? How is this even possible?
I will say, if you see World of Color 1, you will enjoy it, but if you missed out on the original, because the original was the GOAT.
Yeah, and I think they'll bring it back. I think they will eventually.
They need to.
They need to.
Really need to.
Yeah. Koju 737. Ooh, I like that name. Very cool. Koju. With the massive success of Inside Out 2, what do you guys think the chances are of a full-fledged attraction? I think maybe a boat ride on the stream of consciousness would be incredible. I love your idea, Koju, by the way. That's a really good idea. I think the chances of anything Inside Out goes up tenfold right now. This movie's a beast. Okay, we were just talking about it. It's probably going to hit $1 billion this weekend. Worldwide. I mean, I think Epcot is a great park for Inside Out 2 or Inside Out, because it kind of gives the executives what they want, which is the money train, the IP thing, right? But it also kind of plays to Epcot's kind of mission statement with all the kind of the edutainment. If you do an Inside Out attraction right, you can kind of play to both really well. So I think that's where it should go, which means Disney probably won't do that. They'll probably put it in like Animal Kingdom or something stupid like that, right? but it should.
And you know what would be their excuse? Well, Bing Bong is part elephant.
There you go. Exactly. Put him in the tree of life, No, I think Epcot would be a perfect park for that. I've always felt it was, even before Inside Out 2, the emotional whirlwind at DCA. Come on, this franchise deserves better than that, And really, I mean, I've been very critical. Pixar Pier needs to go. If you want to sell Disneyland Resort, as a world-class tourist destination, how are you going to have DCA look like that whole corner of DCA look like a regional amusement park? You gotta step that game up. You got to get that whole area around that lagoon looking like Disney Sea.
Yeah, you really do.
No, what I'm saying? That would change the whole reputation of that park. You keep the lagoon because you want to have World of Color, and water shows. But you theme that out around it, top notch. Then it gives you a better transition into the likely Pandora attachment into the Symbol lot, right? You're not going,
especially to your idea of doing like a harbor style.
Yeah, just do like Pixar Harbor even, and just have it like really fleshed out with a lot of great rock work, and make it look like a Disney Sea style little harbor or port. And I don't know, will they do this? Absolutely not. But how are you going to go from an amusement park style setting, and then you're going to go into this tunnel, and out the other end you're in Pandora? It's going to be super weird. If the rumors are true about where this is going with Pandora and stuff, you know what I'm saying? But great question, Koju, and I love your name. Awesome stuff.
Really quick, girly nerd. I have to. You say people I go with never want to. I'm gonna pull your Italian card a little bit here. See, this is what you do when you're in my situation. You tell them it's not a question. It's you're going.
There you go. Exactly. There we go. And then Slimer here says he's going to tell Caitlin I'm talking shit about Pixar Pier. We did a video. It released this morning with myself, the Italiano, this gentleman right here, Mr. Slimer. His wife, Miss Slimer, joined us, and their friend Caitlin. And we talked about Caitlin's first time at Disneyland Resort. And Pixar Pier was like her favorite thing. And so yeah, I didn't mention getting rid of Pixar Pier on that video. I didn't want to, but that's the beauty of the fandom. We might
be doing a future video with a little healthy debate over Pixar.
There we go. Well, exactly.
And then Teo just put in. I think that would be really interesting.
So he says here, just realized if Tropical Americas does happen, I think it's pretty much confirmed at this point. From what I understand, we'll hopefully get another indie themed bar or restaurant. Oh, that'd be so dope, dude. You know what I was thinking too? Like if they don't want to bulldoze the Rainforest Cafe building, which is currently the Star Wars outpost, I think, right? That building, that Rainforest Cafe building, would make a dope Indiana Jones bar.
Yes. In
downtown Disney. You could turn that into an Indiana Jones bar. You wouldn't even know it used to be a Rainforest Cafe. It would fit so perfect.
I will say I'm not one for carbon copies of something, but an Indiana Jones themed bar lounge kind of restaurant kind of thing. I would do a triple threat. I would put it in Downtown Disney, where you said. Sorry, folks, the hype train.
There it is.
I would put it in Downtown Disney, where you said, in the place of where the Star Wars thingamabob is. In Indy like in the Indy area for the tropical Americas. And I would also do an Indiana Jones themed bar and lounge on one of the Disney cruise ships.
Oh, see, that'd be great. See what I'm saying? Indiana Jones is a great franchise. You could do a lot with it. Slimer here says, build a club Obi-Wan and watch it rain money. Oh, yeah.
Brand new money, brand new hundreds, got a bunch of zeros like a bag of new Funyuns.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Teo here says, dropping some money. Yep, absolutely. Well, I want to thank everybody who joined us today on this amazing live stream. Yeah, our new system, George, is working out pretty smoothly. I'm digging it.
I am too.
Smoother than before, so it's really working out. But I want to thank everybody for joining us. Teo, I want to thank, of course, Slimer, Florentine, Girly Nerd, Kaylee, Mr. Bad Thoughts Podcast, Mr. Seymour, Kev, Tech Bear, who else? We got Mr. Theme Park Wizard, Rogue Attraction, Mariana Barbara, always good to see you. Koju with the dope name Koju. Who
Jonathan.
else? Jonathan, and we got a George Falcione in here. Who's that guy? I don't know who that is.
Who is this imposter?
We got Mr. Ian Grimm. Ian's in the house. We got Samuel Blank here. You know what? Let's do one more before we head out. We got one more. What are your thoughts on all the construction at Disneyland? Okay. I have a little bit of a spicy take on this, and I think a lot of people will probably get mad at me for saying this, but it's okay. I'm not shy about my opinions. What do you want them to do? Right? I hear complaining when they don't build stuff. Universal's building all this stuff. How come Disney's not building stuff? Okay, then they build stuff or they fix stuff, and then people are complaining that there's too much construction. It's like you can't really win. What do you want them to do? I understand this summer there's going to be a lot of construction, especially over there by like Tiana's and Haunted Mansion and all that stuff. So should they stop construction and then start up again after Labor Day? I mean, if they did that, then all the complaints would be like, well, see how fast Universal builds everything? How come Disney can't build something fast, right? You would have that argument then. But then when they go through with the construction to work on it, to get it done, we're complaining that there's walls. This stuff has to get done somehow, you guys. If we want new stuff and we want things to be updated and fixed and whatever, there's going to be some level of inconvenience, Now, I do think Disney is preparing for a very slow summer. I honestly think so is Universal. I think the whole Southern California market is prepping for that. Okay, we're seeing a lot of deals at a lot of the theme parks down here. So I think that might be why also they're adding stuff to the construction, list or refurb list this summer.
I think Florida is too. I think honestly they're looking at it as well.
Yeah. Which, it is what it is. I mean, they have access to the data. They're probably seeing it's going to be slow this summer, so they're taking advantage of that. And I think they're going to do Space Mountain out here in California, right? They're refurbing that. It sucks. I get it. But as a local, am I going to be all bent out of shape because Space Mountain's closed? No, I'm too chicken to go on it anyway. No, just kidding. No, but am I going to get all bent out of shape? No, because it's like I'm here all the time. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of locals are here all the time. So who cares? If it's down for a few months, it's down for a few months. Now, who I do feel bad for are the people who come from like out of country and stuff. They come down here. That sucks. I do sympathize with them a whole lot. You come from Japan, Australia, you come down and like half the park is shut down. Oh, well, by the way, okay, I want to vent a little bit too. Did you hear this thing where where you can't use the lightning lane stuff if you're an international guest?
Oh, really? No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, you can't use it if you're international, which I thought was crazy. Here, hold on one second. Let me pull that up. I'm like, what is going on? That is
so they can't purchase it?
No. Let me pull it up real quick.
See, that's where now that's kind of odd because I thought Disney was leaning more towards the traveling, tourist families demographic.
Right. So here, I'm going to show you. Okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. So this is what it is. Give me just a second. I'm going to pull it up. This is from the GOAT, Mr. Scott Gooston. Okay. So it says here, international guests won't be able to purchase until they arrive in the U.S. Okay, so that's what it is.
Okay.
You can't until you arrive in the U.S. It's crazy though. Why not? I don't understand that. Isn't that weird?
The only thing that I could think of as why is because of the long distance, that if they purchase it, and just to say if they happen to change their plans and cancel, it's a little bit more of a process on Disney's part. I don't know the logistics behind it, but I wonder if by having them wait till they get to the US, chances are once they're in the US area vicinity, so to speak,
right,
then it solidifies, okay, they're really here for vacation now that they can make that purchase. That's the only thing I could think of. Other than that, it just doesn't make any sense.
Makes no sense to me. I mean, if I was running Disney, I would be incentivizing international travel more. I would incentivize it more, especially out here in at Disneyland Resort. You're trying to make Disneyland Resort more of a resort. Incentivize people that are coming from out of country. Don't make it worse for them. But I don't know. That's kind of where I stand. But the Italiano, if you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There he is. And oh, hold on one second. I just lost my spot. Oh, there he is. Slimer says, sweet dreams, friends. Thanks for hanging with us. Share this video if you enjoyed it and smash that thumbs up on the way out. Slimer, thank you, brother. We're going to have Slimer on again very, very soon, talking parks with us. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG55 Live. Let's go.
세상은 누구에게나 공평하게 추악해.